Who is Tammy Cowens? Come on, 50 Cent. You know who Tammy Cowens is. I'm sure you've known all about this story before you even got into bed with BMF. But for those that don't know, living under a rock, 50 Cent just made a cryptic post on his Instagram that says, who is Tammy Cowens? Tammy Cowens, well, we'll get into her in a second, but she's the person that incorporated Black Mafia family. She's the person that worked the deal that got Demetrius Flannery. Well, they got the life rights sold of Southwest T and Big Meech for the BMF show. She's listed as an executive producer, but you never see her because a guy out of St. Louis, Dion Cuffy Gatling, has all sorts of pretty good proof, paperwork, that she's CS1, confidential source 1, working for the DEA, that almost got him a bunch of time. Now, why would 50 Cent be upset? He's been working with Big Meech and Southwest T on that show. Well, Big Meech is doing that Welcome Home concert in Miami, and Rick Ross is a part of it. And if you ain't old enough to remember, Rick Ross and 50 Cent had big beef back in the day. And it was serious beef, and it never got resolved. 50 Cent is big on loyalty. You see how he ruined the young buck in the game for being disloyal when he put him on in G Unit. Whereas Tony Yayo, smart man, and a good guy. You should be loyal to your friends who look out for you. Now, situation of Big Meech is obviously nothing like that of Mr. Tony Yayo. 50 Cent did not make Big Meech famous. Big Meech was a cocaine dealer of national scope from, well, they left Detroit in 1990. Probably got big maybe 97 and ran hard till maybe late 03. And him and his brother pled guilty, got 30 years, though they both managed to get out after only 20 years. Joe Biden just pardoned his brother, Terry Flannery, who was released about 4 years ago during the height of COVID due to health concerns. He's been living in Detroit at the mother's house up until recently because he was considered still an inmate. He was only out for medical reasons, but Biden ended his case, so he's free. Demetrius Flannery, despite a 30-year sentence, there was some changes in federal sentencing guidelines while he was in, which knocked some years off of his sentence. So he served about 20 or so years, and he's got another year or so in the halfway house, which, he'll end up doing maybe 21 and a half years in custody, because halfway house time counts. But when you're in halfway house, you can work. And Demetrius has been definitely taking advantage and working. He is doing all type of promotional appearances, as he should. His parole officer has to sign off on that, or federal probation. It's called probation. So when you get out of prison in the feds, they put you on probation, not parole. But and now he has this huge concert, which I tell you, the interest in Big Meech is strong. Maybe 2 days or a day after that concert was announced, me and my buddy were thinking of going down there. We were just checking out ticket prices. There was not many tickets left, and they were starting at like $560 or something. So prospects would have to fly from LA, and tickets, I'm not going to spend $4,000 or $5,000. Even though, we probably would have ended up backstage, maybe, because he knows Meech, but he hasn't talked to him since he's been out, because, of course, what the thoughts are about Big Meech and did he do something inappropriate to the street life are very mixed. So I've done several deep dives into the connection. So to answer 50 Cent's question, who is Tammy Cowens? Well, you know who Tammy Cowens is. Tammy Cowens is the woman that hooked up the deal with you for the TV show. So you are very well acquainted with Tammy Cowens. And this whole thing might be kind of a 50 Cent. I mean, he may be a little mad, but it's also yet another marketing thing. I think we're really witnessing the end, the dissolution of, I mean, not crime, but like this idea of like, oh, there's a secret underworld and they don't talk, and you know, the internet's full of ex-mafia guys talking, and of course black criminality and major black criminals are, well, I'm one of the first ones that was doing stuff with them in Detroit and New York, and that's become very widespread. And for those that want to act like, oh, that's so shocking and why are they doing that? Listen, better they do that than be criminals, right? I mean, if you're a guy who's willing to risk your freedom, your life, put poison in the community, if you see it that way, why wouldn't you talk about that stuff online for money? Not hurting anybody. I'd rather you gangbang on No Jumper than gangbang in real life. It could seem goofy to those that don't think about it and don't know how harsh that life really is. It's actually smart. Why wouldn't you? If you could make money talking about something, why wouldn't you do that instead of living a dangerous criminal lifestyle that could be hazardous to your health and others? Now, back to Tammy Cowens. Tammy Cowens appears to be, she was a member of this kind of group. Oh, they're not a group together, but a class, a type of woman that exists at all times and all ethnicities that hover at the edges, or they like gangsters. And they themselves, part of the reason why they like gangsters, they like the excitement. They like being in the mix. Now, these are not just whores who will be with anybody for money. There's a lot of those that circulate amongst the dope man and mafia community, same type of women. But some of these girls are go-getters or women. They want to shoot moves on their own. A friend of a friend. In fact, my BMF contact here, my guy, his buddy who I always talk to, I thought we were going to be doing a story because he gives me all this info, but I don't know, he's still up in the air. He just got out of prison. This guy that tried to rob and kill him just got sentenced for another murder, and there was a girl in the mix, and he did all the investigation. I give it to him. Shout out to Lily. He did a tremendous amount of investigation. I mean, he made like an hour video that he sent me, like, watch this, and he, you know, it was like a hell profit video, but he had all the stuff from his case. And anyways, there's this girl in the middle of it, and she's a Detroit chick, but she's been in cases in like Colorado, Arizona, and I don't know, is she working off a case or does she get paid? Because if you don't know, you get paid. Like right now, if I said, okay, there's going to be a drug deal, there's going to be $400,000 are being used to purchase some drugs at this address, and the DEA hit it, I will have worked out my deal with them, like, well, I'm going to get 20%. And they going to come kick me $400,000, they're going to come kick me 80 G's. That happens. There's people who've become millionaires off of doing that. There's a DEA agent who just got sent to federal prison because he was, as a DEA agent, he had all these informants in Colombia and stuff, and he would know when there were money drops to the launderers, and then he would have a criminal partner of his turn the info in and get paid by the DEA and then split it with the DEA agent who had the inside information. So Tammy Cowens seemed like a criminal groupie. She knew Blue Da Vinci when they were all free. Blue, I guess, was blowing her down, as they say, or banging her frame. Maybe she was blowing him down. That's what it would be. She was blowing him down. I guess. Blue Da Vinci has a bunch of good interviews up. Go watch some of his interviews. He has some with me, but he has many others where he talks about Tammy Cowens. Blue Da Vinci's a good interview subject. So then Meech gets locked up. And of course, when you get locked up, you love to get a visit from anybody. You want people to do stuff for you on the outs. Meech was famous by the time he got locked up. Sure, he had a lot of male and female groupies accepting his calls, taking his letters, visiting him, doing tasks for him. But Tammy Cowens was able to really ingratiate herself good. Now, she was a woman that was visiting multiple incarcerated Scarfaces. And to go back to the part about getting paid or turning things in, there's a Atlanta dealer by the name of Terry White. And she helped, I don't know if she turned in any DR rugs for him, or in his case, but she turned in some of his money situations, and she was paid. And she did various cases where she was getting paid. So the contention where they say Meech, or some say Meech, snitched or tried to set up Cuffy. First of all, Cuffy is in prison doing a long time. Cuffy is not in prison for the case involving Tammy Cowens and potentially Meech. He's in prison for something else, another conspiracy and homicide charges. Now, he feels like the only reason he wiretaps and an investigation into him were started that led to these other charges with these other people was because Meech and Tammy tried to set up and make him hot. I mean, yeah, but I mean, he was still doing stuff. Cuffy Gatlin, serious gangster. His brother, Wani Magic, unfortunately, tragically passed away in prison. He was in the BMF indictment. He had a heart or an asthma attack in prison, died in his early 40s. He was married to another one of these women, a girl from Detroit. She was interviewed on Vlad, what the hell was her name? Brittany or something. Who this girl, after her BMF husband died, she starts messing with some guy out of Chicago. He's sending her 20, 30, 40 bricks at a time that she's running through, probably through people she met through her BMF husband. Her and her dad catch a case together. The dad gets a chunk of time. I think he may have passed away in prison, that her dad, or he did a stretch and just got out. So really, it's all fun and games when you're making money, but there's a lot of people that whose name we know and are famous for getting money in the street, but they may have gotten money for 3 years and then went and did 15. At least Flannery Brothers, they had, a good 15-year run more, because really they started rolling like 86 when they were young. They had, 18 years, and they did about 15. T did about 15, Meech did 20. Is that worth it? I mean, maybe, maybe not, but it might be. But doing 20 years for a 3-year run, I definitely don't think it. Brandy, that's her name. So anyways, Tammy was visiting multiple, and I read or was watching a YouTube or some prison thing, and a guy was saying he remembers seeing her in the visiting room in a federal prison for yet some other guy. So she was into writing and making friends or getting introduced to, like she met Meech through Blue and going to visit these guys and maybe doing favors for them, whatever. I don't know if it was romantic or sexual or not, but doing stuff for them and doing a favor, like mailing, whatever, running errands on the outs for somebody is one thing, but of course facilitating drug transactions another. So Tammy was such a successful worker for the Atlanta field office. She was getting all these rewards, and the supervisor, the DEA supervisor. So he's not the one over the whole station. That's the SAC, SAC supervisor area, whatever. The SAC is the guy over the whole DEA office, special agent in charge. He wasn't the special agent in charge, but he was a supervisor. So he wasn't even just a regular DEA agent. He had a team under him. And Tammy made so many cases where I know money laundering, I don't know, maybe drug cases too, and was getting rewards that she was actually loaned out to other field offices. So she was working like a DEA agent. And this was one that, now, did Meech know this? Not necessarily. Until there's a smoking gun that shows that, you know. Now maybe 50 Cent's investigation is going to uncover this. I don't know. It's probably buried, and that's sensitive information. It may not be declassified. There may be no way to find it out. And if an active DEA agent told it, that's grounds to get fired. They can't, you know, just get, oh, I'm going to go on YouTube and talk about open cases. But she did get the Terry White guy some money of his taken. She was visiting other people. So the idea that Meech put her up to what went on with Cuffy, not necessarily. She was doing this stuff. What went on with Cuffy? Meech hooked up Cuffy with the guy Fidel Suarez, who he had met inside to supply him with drugs. So they did a drug conspiracy together. And there was a day where Suarez's trucks rolled up, and there was no one there to pick it up, and there were phone calls between Meech and Tammy and Cuffy saying, hey, you need to send someone to go get this stuff. And it ended up, there were feds involved. I don't know if they seized it that day, but Cuffy got picked up or got charged. But because Tammy Cowens had been having an sexual relationship with the DEA agent, the judge threw it all out. Now, funny, years ago, was it a guy in jail told me? Did I read this in a book written by like a real gangster guy who was putting real stuff in a fictionalized form? One or the other, or maybe both. But guys having their girlfriends or women target police officers or targeting other dealers and setting them up to trade for their incarcerated boyfriend, husband, baby daddy, brother, father. That has happened. Like, that happens. The federal government, sort of with drug stuff, there's a lot of switching. Hey, give us him, you get away. Oh, here, you bring us some money, you can get a cut. It's very, if you know the inner workings of it, it's kind of like, is this flawed? Is this appropriate? If selling drugs is bad, shouldn't you just be arresting people and locking them up? What is with all this trading one for the other and giving rewards to snitches? I get it, it helps, but it creates a closet or its own little cottage industry. And there's stuff like guys snitch on themselves. So that's why you have to be careful with who's a snitch and who you had a 501k. There's guys, say I get picked up and I have, you know, I'm getting charged or something, and I know I got 20 keys in one of my stash houses. I could say, well, I know where 20 keys is at. I make up a name of someone it belongs to who doesn't really even exist. And I have them hit my own stash house, they don't know it's mine, get the 20 keys, and knock some time off of my sentence. Or money, they probably like money even more. I know where there's $1 million at, someone else's $1 million. Or my own. And I trade, so I snitch on myself to get less time. Or I snitch on an imaginary person who's really has my stuff. I mean, it's really my stuff, but I created an imaginary person to seem like I'm snitching. There's no case ever made on this person because they can't find him in a database because he don't exist. That goes on too. Higher up the food chain you go, guys are sophisticated playing smart games. Now, is the fact that Meech and Cuffy were conspiring to do deals while Meech was in prison. In fact, it looks like Meech, if you look through different records, I mean, that he was messing around from early on, or trying to. He didn't really, you know, I mean, this is in federal documents. This isn't anything me saying. And they just, well, did they luck up, or was Tammy so smart in the game that she knew once she had sex with that DEA supervisor, she had another card to play. I mean, she put herself in the catbird seat. This girl, it worked. Listen, 50 Cent and Big Meech, that's why this little battle is going to be interesting. Two tremendous strategists. Big Meech got out of jail 10 years earlier than he should have. There's no proof of any paperwork he snitched on anything. And he kept himself in the limelight by strategically doing phone interviews and saying shit and having people do stuff, and got Tammy Cowens to get this show. And 50 Cent's a tremendous marketer. 50 Cent took the BMF name to another level and kept, remember, these guys have been gone 20 years. BMF just got more and more famous while they were gone, which is pretty amazing. I mean, whether it's just BMF worked perfectly for the zeitgeist, the feeling of the times, but I think it's that brilliant marketer. So just like how he knew how to go from state to state and make friends and sell DOPE and not have any problems everywhere, he knew how to work the media and the grapevine to keep the BMF and his name alive. 50 Cent gets on board, pumps it up even more, sends Little Meech to acting school. So even if that show ends, even, Little Meech now is established. He's been in a hit show, or a smaller scale. I mean, it's a urban show, but it's a real show. It's a hit. He could go on and do more stuff. Meech at least has a few years of probably milking the party circuit, and he could become maybe a concert promoter. I mean, he knows all the rappers. He don't need 50 Cent. That's the thing. People say, oh, he's not loyal to 50 Cent. Loyal to what? 50 Cent didn't know that guy back then. He didn't get him out of jail. Like, they did a business deal. Meech got a little money for his life rights. And listen, let me tell you guys how Hollywood works. Southwest T, Big Meech did not. They got some little lump sum payment that probably wasn't all, like, 300,000, 400,000, 500,000 each, maybe, if that. Meech got a job. Meech probably started out getting 8,000 an episode or something. Like, it's those TV shows, unless they become a big hit, they're just, the budget for each show isn't that much. I mean, it's enough, but listen, I've made a whole movie. I made an independent movie, goes to St. Albans, feeding 50 people 2 meals a day. Right? Take a week to film an episode. So that's, say it takes 7 days to film an episode. It's 100 meals a day. It's 700 meals. People got to eat decent. And you got drinks and snacks on the side. And you're paying a profit premium to the people for coming. So say $50 a meal. That's $35,000 a week in food. I mean, on the super low end. Costumes, pay all the actors, blah, 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 blah. So the amount of money they're getting from the BMF show, the whole Flannery family, is far less than probably a lot of you think. That's not the way Hollywood works. They gave them, and they didn't have to give them no money at all, because once you're in a newspaper, you're a public figure. If I wanted to make a fictionalized story of the Flannery brothers, unless I had some crazy, lie, showed them molesting children or something absurd, they couldn't sue me. They're public figures. That's why you can make jokes about the president. That's why you can say stuff about famous people, that's why you can go on YouTube and lie about, say, I saw such Madonna having sex with 2 goats at a puffy party. She can't sue you. She's a celebrity. It's called protection of satire. Now, if you're not famous, I can't make up stories about you if you're not famous. That's different. And plus, once you're a convicted criminal, you don't have a character to besmirch, right? Because when you sue for libel, you're getting damages for someone messing up your good reputation. But if you're been on the front page for being a criminal, you don't have a good reputation anymore. So, 2 master tacticians. We know 50 Cent has been brilliant in managing career. That guy hasn't had a hit rap song out in many years, but again, he's bigger than ever. He's segued into movies. Then into TV, he's a tremendous businessman, self-promoter. He made one great album, which was a really good album. A few other cool albums. Like, I always like 50 Cent's music too. You know, I mean, it's not the greatest, but pretty good. Definitely on some hard street. Like, I always like 50 Cent's music. Still listen to different songs here and there. New stuff he drops sometimes. So, whatever them guys got cooking, it's brilliant. Meech and them, I don't know. Their business may well be done. I don't know what you guys think they're supposed to be doing forever. They're not really in business together. 50 Cent made a show based on their lives. They got a couple bucks. They got more visibility out of it. That show has now probably run its course. And there's nothing too much more for them to do. I'm sure Meech wants there to be a movie about himself or something. Or they could do another, probably there's a you know what? There's going to be a reality show about him once he gets off house arrest. That's what I predict. 50 don't have to do it. Or maybe this is all a play. Because they all know what they did and didn't do. They're comfortable with themselves. They don't care. Let them talk shit about Tammy in public. Get more stuff built up. Make more money. Either way, I'm sure Meech will be able to navigate this just fine. To finish. So, Cuffy gets picked up. Gonna be charged, but is thrown out because she was having sex. So she really knew how to work this just right. She's getting paid all the way. There's nowhere in any papers, though, that says she was going to trade some time for Meech for Cuffy. And Meech's time cuts all match, changes in his sentencing level came down. It all matches up. There's no mysterious time cut for him. So he didn't get any benefit. And Cuffy caught a different case, though he feels like he was only hot and the wiretaps came because of what Tammy and Meech put him into. But, I mean, it's true, but you still did some other stuff. But, you know, I could see being frustrated and upset. I mean, what's super interesting, though, is that Cuffy had a TV show or a movie script written as well, and Tammy was part of that. So I think Tammy is really a hell of a wheeler, dealer, manipulator. She wasn't playing both sides. She was playing 5 sides. And now, is Tammy Cowens ever going to be able to produce another show? How much does, there's not as much money is made for all these ancillary parties. Like Tammy's executive producer. I remember when I almost got a TV show greenlit and I was going to be basically, they busted up like the writer's going to get, or the creator's going to get 3% of the budget per episode. Writers get 2%, executive producer 1%. Like there's these standard percentages. So Tammy might be getting a couple per 2% at most of the budget of each show. I mean, even if they're a million a show, which they're not, probably 500,000. What's that? That's $10,000 an episode. I mean, they've made 100 episodes. She may have gotten, I don't know, Flannery's may have gotten $1 million or something, but that's over a couple years divided up by a couple people. Nah, don't get me wrong, that's real money, but it ain't 10 million or something, right? And you're paying taxes on it. So I don't think anyone really cares. The vibe in the street towards Meech is kind of muted. Definitely in Detroit, different people I know are kind of like, there's not like a tremendous bad feeling, but I think for some years there's been, people feel like it's funny. I mean, you look at it is weird, but I think Tammy could have been doing all this on her own and was just doing so much wheeling and dealing, and luckily, I think Meech and Cuffy were going to get themselves in trouble with or without Tammy, and maybe luckily for them, she was involved, and because she slept with the DEA agent. it went away. Now, Cuffy may be calling into me again, and if he does, I'll try to drill down. I still don't know if the dot is connected really, of that Meech knew there was a federal agents involved and set this up to try to get himself out. I think him and Cuffy were conspiring to conspire, and she happened to already, it's documented, she was doing stuff with other guys. This was her thing. And she was trying to get this TV show made, this movie made for Cuffy. So, two master strategists, 50 Cent and Demetrius Flannery, both know how to move and shake and operate, keep themselves relevant, famous, and the money coming in. Due to Meech working with Rick Ross on this concert, their relationship may be coming to an end, unless it's all just an act for the public, which is possible, but maybe not. So, that's 50 Cent versus Big Meech as of now. See if Cuffy can delve deeper into what's going on. Al Prophet, American Dope.